Mr Deputy Speaker, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in this debate. We've heard some wonderful maiden speeches given already by the members for Glasgow Central, Thurrock and Falmouth, Pudsey and Thurrock, and other great constituencies in this country. I'd like to congratulate them. Today, the talk about the budget has been vitally important. It defines the challenge of this Parliament and quite possibly a political generation. I'd like to thank honourable members on this side of the House for electing me as a member of the Treasury Select Committee. It will be a great honour to serve on this committee, which plays an important role in Parliament, and I look forward to working with the Chairman, the honourable member for Chichester, and all other members of the committee in carrying out my duties. But before I go into the content of the budget, I think it's important to remind the House why such a budget is required. Yes, there has been a global economic crisis, but the sheer scale of the budget deficit has clearly been exacerbated by the policies of the last and previous government. It's time that the honourable members on the opposite side of the House have the honesty to acknowledge it. As a special advisor in the Treasury during the last Conservative government, when Canny Ken was the Chancellor, the most important lesson that I learned was that you can't spend what you haven't got. Based on the exchanges over the last couple of days, it's clear that it's a lesson that's been lost on members on this side of the House. It's as if they've been spending at an end to itself, that it's good to spend, and they'll go on carrying on spending regardless. Well, we've had to take the measures to stop all that. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the economic crisis is affecting the whole of the country, including Cheshire, despite the words and remarks from the Leader of the Opposition's comments last week. In Macclesfield, we're seeing 600 jobs going, with the closure of BAE's Woodford site close by in 2012. There were closures at K. Metzler in Bollington, at Swains & Sons in Poynton, and most recently, the announcement that there will be 250 jobs going with the closure of Cheshire Building Society, closing down their operations in the town. That's a staggering 177% increase in unemployment in the last 5 years. We're working hard locally to address this situation, and we'll be holding a business forum to determine what further action can be taken. But it's clear that an improvement in our local economy and in the constituencies right across the country are going to require national action as well. And that's why I welcome the budget and its measures to show that Britain is open for business. And it will be important for local employers in Macclesfield, like AstraZeneca, to have the confidence to go on investing in this country. And for those looking to start new businesses in regions like the North West, where job creation needs a big boost from business, not the public sector. I'm also pleased that the Chancellor is taking positive steps to reduce the budget deficit, the biggest in living memory. That's why we're having to take tough action to get this economy moving again. Mr. Deputy Speaker, excuse me, given such difficult circumstances, the focus on the debate should not just be on what needs to be done, but how these huge objectives will be achieved. Policies and programmes will need to be reviewed as planned, but let's not forget the process by which these challenges should be addressed. The member for Gainsborough made some important points in the discussion on this already. The public spending review will be a critical task, and Lord Waldegrave of North Hill, from the other place, my former boss at the Treasury, recently gave some advice to the Chief Secretary. He may recall it. You need to have the hide of a rhinoceros in taking forward the review, and I have no doubt about that. But I also wish him every success in establishing a rigorous, challenging review and in deciding the urgent priorities in government spending. I believe that delivering the budget will require a transformational change in the culture of our civil service. We need to help civil servants feel proud about their efforts to save taxpayers' money. When I worked at Asda, colleagues there were genuinely proud and motivated in delivering, in working to deliver a lower cost of living for customers. They knew that to deliver everyday low prices, they had to focus on delivering everyday low costs. And they were proud to do it. It was a part of every bit of work that they did, day in, day out. And I'd suggest that there are lessons to be learned from this approach in delivering value for money in government and effective public services. It's clear from the actions of ministers in the coalition government that they're committed to bringing about this type of cultural change, and I fully support their efforts. It's good to know that clear objectives are being set at the top, and that value for money ministers will be appointed in every single department. But in such difficult circumstances, I trust that these objectives will be shared right across Whitehall, and that the Cabinet Secretary will give greater priority to the value for money objectives of permanent secretaries and their teams. I believe that much of the knowledge needed to achieve these objectives rests with the frontline service providers, where the proximity of customers provides powerful knowledge and understanding. During the general election campaign, I met thousands of public sector workers who were appalled at the amount of waste and the layers of bureaucracy that they had to face every day of the week. One hospital chef told me that he had 3 bosses. I think that most people would agree that that should not be part of the recipe required to provide nourishing meals in hospitals for patients. That's why I support ministers in their efforts to learn from people in the front line and provide the time, among many competing priorities, to listen to their views and to work with them. I encourage ministers to continue their efforts to break down the barriers that are preventing taxpayers from receiving the effective services and real value for money which they so richly deserve. That's why I support this budget. It is tough. It will be challenging to deliver, but it is the medicine that needs to be taken to treat the trauma of this economic crisis and get our ailing economy back to full health. I fully support the Chancellor in taking forward these proposals, which are so clearly set out in his budget.